and welcome to Tim Conley Drums. So as you guys can see from my first two videos of 2025, I'm mixing things up. Today I'm going to tell you some pretty funny stories. Now, I got to give you a little bit of a backdrop to these two stories I'm going to tell you because they're kind of crazy, but hopefully you guys enjoy them. Back in the 90s, we're going way back. We're going back to the early 90s. Pre-music school even, like I'm talking probably 91 to about 94 when I left for music school, around that time. So in that 3-year period, I was a different person than I am now. I have to admit, I was quite a bit different back then. I was way more outgoing, way more extroverted, way more willing to risk, take chances, go out on limbs, etc., etc. But I know it's an age thing. As you get older, I'm going to be 60 years old in a few months. Things change. You don't take as many risks, you don't do as many crazy things, and you don't have as many crazy friends necessarily. Some people, I mean, obviously everybody's different, but I don't really have the crazy friends like I used to. But I used to play in a band with this guitar player, Jeffrey, and Jeffy, as I used to call him. And the guy was the funniest guy you could ever meet. He made me laugh. We were so tight. We made each other laugh. We would play off each other. Do you know what I mean, guys? That comedy connection where it didn't matter what he said, it would be funny to you. And he knew exactly where to tap in. Like, I'm a huge SCTV fan. So he would always tap into things from an SCTV perspective, or just comedy in general. The guy had his own thing, and he was a very funny guy. So you have to understand, we were very close, playing in a band together. I was, the struggling musician. He also was a struggling musician, but he was married. I was single at the time. He was married, and his wife was a nurse. So he had a much more grounded lifestyle compared to the crazy musician. And his wife, she thought I was the crazy one, but I'm telling you right now, he was the crazy one, and I'm going to tell you why. He was a practical joker. Now, you have to understand something about me that my son in particular finds extremely entertaining. I'm what's known as a reactor. And I'm not even talking about my drum reaction videos, of which I have one coming up soon. But I'm talking about, my son will say something, he'll do something, I always react. He will do the exact same thing to my wife, and she just, whatever. She doesn't react. I always react. I can't help it. I can't stop. People say, well, if he does something that annoys you, which he always does, don't react. Impossible for me. Impossible. It's just not in me. I have to react. And if my son was here right now, he would be laughing his ass off going, yes, he reacts to everything. And I try, my 2025 New Year's Eve resolution, and my son laughed so hard, Liam, I'm not reacting in 2025. Any of your antics, any of your nonsense, I'm not reacting. Well, that got a big laugh from my whole family, not just my son. Everybody laughed and thought that was pretty funny because they know, like a fitness New Year's Eve statement, everybody's going to the gym. Well, this is my version of the gym thing. They know it's not going to last. Anyways, let's get back to Jeff. So this guy was a comedian like you wouldn't believe, and he was a practical joker. So you take a guy that likes to play pranks, you take a guy that likes to play jokes, you put him with a guy that's a reactor, and you guys can just imagine the stuff that he used to do to me. Oh my God. And it didn't matter if it got to the point he would play so many jokes on me, ridiculous, and he would go elaborate jokes. Like these TV shows, you see people playing pranks and stuff. Jeff invented this. They should go to him for the ideas, because the jokes that he used to play on me were absolutely unbelievable. So I'm going to tell you one thing that he did to me, and that is that he called up the Jerry Springer show. This is back when Jerry Springer was king of the town. And he called the Jerry Springer show, gave him my name, said I was a cross-dressing drummer, and that my bandmates were going to kick me out of the band unless I straightened up and stopped doing the cross-dressing. And you got to remember, this is 90s, people. There were no cross-dressing drummers at the time. I mean, maybe there was. I have no idea, but it wasn't a thing like it is now, where it's just accepted, whatever. Back then, back in the early 90s, it didn't exist that I'm aware of. Like I said, I could be wrong, but that I'm aware of, it didn't exist. So anyways, calls Jerry Springer show, gives him my phone number, my information, tells him that I want to come on the show because I want to confront my band, and blah, blah, blah. Now, this is him just going out on a limb to do this prank. He has no idea what's going to happen. Well, wouldn't you know it? I'm not kidding you. I'm absolutely not kidding you. Jerry Springer frickin' called me. And I had no idea what was going on. I didn't know that he had done this. I had no idea. I just remember, I remember this like it happened yesterday. I picked up the phone, hello. Hi, this is Jill. I can't remember the lady's name. It was a lady from the Jerry Springer show, and she's the talent coordinator, getting people to come on to the show, blah, blah, blah. Of course, I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't believe her. I didn't suspect Jeff. I just didn't believe it. So I literally hung up on her. Yeah, whatever. Sure you are. I hung up on her. Okay. I get another call. Same lady. Please don't hang up on me. This is so-and-so from the Jerry Springer show, and I just want to talk to you for a few minutes. It really is the show. So I'm like, sure it is. I still didn't believe it. I ended up talking to her. Still didn't believe her. Just blew it off like it was nothing. A couple weeks go past. She calls a third time. This time, I'm like, okay, what's going on? Who put you up to this? Blah, blah, blah. She tells me the whole thing again, that they really want me to come on the show, blah, blah, blah. And then she tells me, and I'm like, why do you want me to come on your show? What's going on? Because she hadn't explained the full details to me. So then she says, well, we got contacted, the show got contacted. We're assuming you contacted us, saying that you're a cross-dressing drummer. You're going to get kicked out of your band. You want to come on the show. You want to confront the band. And we're really interested in this topic because this isn't something we've never had on the show before. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Who told you this? I never contacted you. I'm not a cross-dresser, blah, blah, blah. So then she's like, well, we got a phone call. We spoke to you a number of times. I'm like, you didn't speak to me. Who the heck did you speak to? Somebody actually called. Well, guess who they actually spoke to? It was Jeff. He called them, as I said. He gave them the whole spiel, the sob story. He even teared it up and made it, I really don't want to get kicked out of the band because of the fact that I just want to wear women's clothes while I'm performing. Why is that such a crime? So anyways, I just said to the lady, I'm like, listen, I'm not a cross-dresser. I didn't contact you. I have a feeling that we have been pranked. Both of us have been misled in this. And so that was the end of it. Now, can you imagine, though, when I went and told my bandmates, and of course, Jeff is there, and I told them, well, these guys fell over laughing. It was the funniest thing ever. I laughed too. But in the heat of the moment, when you get a call from a big, big TV show, honestly, it doesn't matter who you are. You could even be a star. You still have doubts. Now, this was the days when there was no real scamming going on like there is now. Like, I don't trust any phone calls now. And it's got nothing to do with Jeff. It's got to do with scamming, especially the IRA calls, or we have a postage, we have a item and postage for you, call this number to pick it up. Like, so many scams now. But back in the early 90s, these scams didn't really exist. This is before the infamous Nigerian scam even. So I just didn't understand what was going on, and it was pretty funny. So that's one thing he did to me that was funny. But listen, I could be here all day telling you guys these stories. I'm only going to tell you one more. And this one was another one. This is the reverse. This one was legit. But because I thought it was Jeff pulling another prank on me, I absolutely would not accept what they were saying to me. So I get a phone call from the Wheelchair Basketball Association saying that they're looking for donations and are you interested in donating? And I basically tell them to screw off and hang up because I immediately think it's Jeff. They actually called me back, which shocked me. They call me back and I go, look, I don't recognize the voice. So I'm like, look, I know Jeff put you up to this. I'm not falling for this prank. You think you're going to get me. You think you're going to laugh at me. Well, I'm telling you right now, I'm not falling for it. And I think victory, after he's done this hundreds of times to me, victory shall be mine. I'm not falling for it. And I go, look, how much did he pay you? And blah, blah, blah. And the guy says to me, no, we really are from the Basketball Association. As a matter of fact, here's a number to call. Call us back and we can verify that we really are who we say we are. So I actually go through those steps. I find out it really is the Basketball Association. It really is wheelchair basketball. So I'm apologizing to them, and it's funny because he got me in reverse. He got me in reverse because I honestly believed I had won. And then it was defeated again. Of course, when I went and told my bandmates, and especially Jeff, he was howling. It got to the point where they said to me, he doesn't even have to do anything to you anymore. You do the things, these pranks to yourself. And he was 100% correct. So I did do a nice donation to the Wheelchair Basketball Association after that. All right, here's my last story. Exact same, identical scenario. I get a phone call from a music store in Toronto telling me that I won third prize, a cymbal, in one of their draws. And at the time, I did not remember entering into any draw at this music store. I think it was Steve's Music, but I'm not 100% sure. It's a long time ago, but I think it was Steve's Music because I dealt with them a lot back in the early 90s. Anyways, so of course I'm like, I don't think so. Again, I think I'm being tricked. So I just hang up on the guy and I actually tell him to F off because I'm kind of pissed. I'm getting tired of these pranks, And I think I've won. So I let it go. A few weeks later, I go to the music store. And it was Steve's because I remember the layout of the place. So I walk in there and the manager comes up to me of the drum department and says, Tim, why'd you hang up? Why were you so rude to my employee? I can't remember his name, Jack. Why were you so rude to Jack? He's calling to tell you won a prize. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's calling it, and I'm like, you mean to tell me that was legit? I actually won that cymbal prize? He says, yes, but we gave it to somebody else because of the way you reacted. We had to give it to somebody. So we gave it to, and we redrew and somebody else won it. I'm like, are you kidding me? I was so pissed off. Are you kidding me? I lose out on a amazing Sabian cymbal once again, because in reverse, I get tricked by this guy. He created this level of paranoia in me that it didn't matter unless it was my mother calling. I didn't trust anyone calling me because I automatically associated it to somebody is pranking me, somebody is joking with me because he used to do this so often. Now, he never ever made the calls himself. It was always somebody else that he would get to call if he actually was doing a prank on me, which he did. I'm not kidding you, hundreds. Like I said, I could be here all day telling you these stories. I'm limiting it to 3. So I apologize to the manager. I apologize to the guy that made the phone call. And I explained the situation that I get pranked so often by my bandmate that it's at an insane level that I don't trust anybody. They laughed too. They laughed too, and they gave me a pair of drumsticks for my pain and suffering, which I really appreciated. I mean, when I go to the band rehearsal and tell these guys, and of course, once again, laughter, unbelievable amount of laughter. Now, I know you guys are thinking, well, why did you go and tell them? Well, it is funny. It is funny. And it's part of my problem with reacting. Not only do I react to things, but I tell people about how I reacted and what happened. You guys aren't going to believe what happened to me. He did it to me again. And I'm pointing at Jeff. He did it to me again. And of course, as a result, people would say to me, why don't you get him back? I'm like, look, you can't get him back. He's not me. He's not a reactive personality. So as soon as I try and do something to him, I hire somebody to call him up and pretend they're a hooker or whatever. He's not going to believe him. By the way, he called so many hookers on me to come to my house. It was absolutely ridiculous. I can remember having a parade of them showing up, and I never once called a hooker. It was him literally going through every ad after the other and getting every hooker you could imagine to show up at my place. It got so bad that my landlord was like, what are you running? He thought I was running a brothel. But that's a whole other story for another time that Jeff did to me. Just the things that he would do to me. And it was frequent too. It wasn't like he did this once every 6 months or something. It was continuous. It was unbelievable. He even did it when I moved away. I moved to go to music school. I wasn't even in the band anymore. I'm in music school. I'm not even in a band. I'm just focusing on being a student. I'll tell you one more. This is number 4. One story leads to another because I remember them as I'm going along. So I lived in this, it's like an apartment house in Hamilton. Hamilton has like 3, 4, 5 level houses, and then there'll be like 6 this way and 3 or 4 this way. These houses that they have in Hamilton that are like this. So I don't know what they're called. It's not a condo, but I don't know what they're called. But anyways, they're like row houses that are like townhouses, but they're 3 levels, and each level had its own apartment. So there's probably 20 different units. So, 20, 40, 60, 80 people living there, whatever. So one day I noticed people not wanting to talk to me. Again, at that time, I was an outgoing, gregarious, talk to everybody, friendly, super, let's party, let's do this, let's do that. Yeah, I'm in music school. I'm so excited to be here. And, I'm Mr. Upbeat. All of a sudden, I noticed people not wanting to talk to me, not wanting to be around me. And I'm like, what's going on? Why is everybody avoiding me? Well, I go and check my mail one day. I hadn't checked it for a little while. It's an open mail thing. And basically, Jeff had been signing me up to the most atrocious magazines, like hardcore, gay porn, animals, stuff that nowadays you'd be arrested for if people knew that you were getting this stuff in the mail. But back in those days, you could order this stuff through the mail, and it wasn't as it was easier to get. Let's just put it that way. Now, I had absolutely no interest in any of these things. I'm not gay. I have no interest in animals other than nature. And, it wasn't animals. Sorry. It was bondage. That was it. So it was hardcore men's magazines with men on men. I remember one of them was called Men on Men. And the other ones were like hardcore bondage, a guy tied up to a table and a guy in a gimp mask and, crazy stuff like that, which I'm not interested in. Anyways, we had open mail slots. Everybody can see the mail. So these magazines are rolling in, and I hadn't checked my mail for quite some time. Oh my God. Everybody thought the new guy in the building's a freaking weirdo. No, I can laugh about it now because, of course, when my bandmates found out that he's still getting me, even after I'm gone, so to speak, I moved out of the area, I'm in music school, he's still getting me. And I never actually did recover from that in terms of, I would tell the people, this guy Jeff, he plays jokes on me. He's a prankster. He did it. It's all his fault. And they're like, yeah, okay, Tim, sure, no problem. You stick to that story. Move on. See ya. I never really did have too many friends in that building after that. And it didn't matter what I said. I'm laughing now, but at the time I remember being very upset. Again, telling my bandmates, Jeff thought it was the greatest thing ever. Even his wife thought it was funny. But I never did recover from that in terms of the way that people treated me in that building. I became somewhat of an outcast. Now, nobody did anything to me mean. I never got threatened. There's no violence, nothing like that. Just avoidance. Soon, oh, geez, there's Tim. They would go the other way, So there's that weirdo. There's that guy in the gimp mask, So they would take off. So, oh man. Now, guys, I'm not gullible. This isn't about gullibility. You're probably wondering, how could he possibly get you hundreds of times? The reason is because I just never thought he was so diverse in his pranks that I never linked it all together. And because of my reactionary personality, I just always thought that either things were fake, like, the wheelchair basketball, or things were real, but couldn't possibly be happening to me, kind of a thing. I'm very street smart. I'm very street savvy, and people can't scam me in terms of money. And, other people, nobody else could scam me, but Jeff just had this thing about him. And I know it's hard for you to understand because you're probably just like, how, you're very gullible. No, it was Jeff's thing. Anyone that knows Jeff would agree. Now, he wasn't out scamming everybody. It was me. And it's because of my personality that he was doing it. Now, my son does the exact same thing. And you want to talk about laughing when he hears the stories that Jeff did to me. And I haven't even told him all of them because some of them are insanely over the top. I don't even know if they're appropriate for YouTube. I'm not sure. We will see. Maybe I'll tell the story and see if I get not copyrighted, but just, you can't have that on here kind of a thing. But anyways, guys, like I said, I could be here all day telling you these stories, but I only wanted to limit it to a few more. Now, if you want to hear more Jeff stories, let me know in the comments because, like I said, I've got hundreds. You would not believe the stuff that he did to me. And when I tell people, this is the first time I've ever told anyone any of these stories on YouTube, but of course my family, my friends, and occasionally I still see Jeff. We're still friends on Facebook. He doesn't prank me anymore, thank God. But the jokes about the pranks, like every once in a while, somebody that knows me will message me and say, "Hey, Tim, do you get any calls from Jerry Springer lately?" And I'd be like, yeah, you got me. That's really funny, So Jeff still lingers after like 30 something years. The guy still lingers in my world, but he doesn't do the pranks on me anymore. And I'm hoping he doesn't see this and I ignite him. Geez, I never thought of that. Anyways, guys, thanks very much. for joining me. I hope that this was comical to some of you and you enjoyed hearing this. Like I said, comment, like, subscribe, and as always, keep drumming. See ya.